Hello everyone, something totally different today. I'm going to be interviewed by a very esteemed and illustrious interviewer, so it should be rather fun. Before we do that, don't forget my recommended UK-based fragrance sampling site is fragrancesamplesuk.com. Go there and right now you can use the code FSUKBF15 for 15% off an amazing array of designer and niche fragrances. My recommended USA-based fragrance sampling site is decantboutique.com, and there you can use the code BLACKNOV25 for 25% off a huge range of wonderful scents to sample, both recommended by me and linked in the description of this video. Okay, so for the first time today, I'm going to be interviewed by the delightful Lorraine, who will not be appearing on camera today. And she's got 10 questions, which have been sent in by our hundreds of thousands of viewers. And we've taken the most popular ones, or did I just write them on the back of a packet of fags earlier today? You'll never know. Okay, fire away, Lorraine. It's Mr. Smelly on the rack, on the grill. Let's go.
Hello everybody. My first question for Dan is, Dan, how did you first get into fragrances?
Well, I'll tell you that. It was in terms of actually getting heavily into it and finding out about this whole online world. I used to wear fragrances before that, of course, but it was 2015. In around the late summer, I left a terrible relationship that I was in, and I was so relieved to be out of it, and it had been such a traumatic experience. And suddenly I had a lot more free time, a little bit more money, of course. And I thought, let's kind of re-up my game or change things up a little bit here. And I thought, let's change my fragrance, because I've been wearing the same one for 10 years, which was Chanel Allure Homme Sport. And I thought it's time for something different. So I went online, looked and typed in on YouTube, because I would already watched loads of other stuff on YouTube, but I'd never seen a fragrance video. And I typed in best fragrance for men. Funnily enough, Jeremy Fragrance came up, and I found out about this whole online fragrance thing. And then I found out about Creed fragrances, and I was really excited about niche fragrances, Creed. And so first of all, things like Leventus and then Green Irish Tweed and Bois de Portugal, I got really excited and discovered the whole addictive YouTube and online world. And that's how that happened.
Okay, thank you very much. So question number 2, what made you decide to start your own YouTube channel?
As everyone always says, and as some of them are lying, it was just for fun and purely for passion. And it was, because I just had a very small collection, and I saw hardly anyone had done a video about Bois de Portugal, which was my favourite. And by this time we'd got these iPhones and things, so it wasn't that hard to upload a very low quality, albeit low quality video. And I just thought, I'll have a go at that just for fun. And then one thing led to another, and it took quite a few years before it actually became a really serious thing for me. But yes, so that was it, just purely for fun, and things gathered steam a little bit, but very slowly, and here we are now.
Superb.
The Norton & Wilson Black Friday event has now begun. Use the code BF15 for 15% off individual fragrances. Also, we now have new 3-fragrance festive gifting sets, giving even better value. The special launch price for old money is still available. That's over 15% off the full price, and no code is needed. Buy old money at launch price, and you get 20% off any additional fragrances in the same order. Go to nortonandwilson.com to order today in the USA, Canada, and UK. If you're in the EU, you can order by emailing us at info@nortonandwilson.com. All Norton & Wilson fragrances are made in England at the Cotswold Perfumery in the picturesque village of Burton-on-the-Water. They have been making fragrances there using the very finest ingredients since 1966. Perfumer John Stephen has a perfect grasp of our unique house style and has added his own magical twist to each of our creations. Order our new release, Old Money, for a special launch price in the USA, Canada, and UK at nortonandwilson.com.
So, question number 3. How has the YouTube and online fragrance world changed in the last 10 years since you've been involved?
I'm drinking a Polish lager, by the way, which I was just showing to the viewers. Thank you. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked me that. How has it changed? It changed immeasurably, actually. It was much smaller back then, and there were far fewer people doing it. If I started now, I wouldn't, because I'd be so far behind. It would be, I'd be such a tiny nothing in this world. So luckily, I got my foot in the door early and was able to do okay. But it's much bigger. Most of the more prominent people, or all of them, are doing it professionally. They don't have day jobs. When I started, almost no one was doing it as a full-time job. Maybe Jeremy had just begun to, but now most of the top 100 or so people, if not more, are doing it professionally. Much more stuff is being sent free to people. You used to have people just doing a one fragrance review for 30 minutes and stuff, Robes 08 and stuff. Nowadays, we know those videos don't get as many views, so everything now that's successful is a top 10. People are much more professional. The quality of the presentation and the way they do it has changed, but also the amount of industry involvement now, because we were nothing to the fragrance industry back then. They didn't care about influencers. Even the smaller niche brands barely did. Now even the designer brands send even people like me, who doesn't have a very big channel, free bottles. So it's changed immeasurably in that it's become much bigger, much more professionalized, a little bit more money oriented at the top. But if you still want to watch people who just do it for a hobby and talk about sort of obscure fragrances, they're still there too, but you just might have to look a bit harder, because YouTube just wants to tell you about the bigger channels naturally.
Brilliant. Okay,
Yes.
next
Darling.
question.
It might not be a good idea to file your nails, because it's going to pick it up on
okay.
the sound, isn't it?
Okay,
That'll be
that
I'll leave that in. That's funny. Keep going. Keep going.
Sorry, darling.
Yes, and try not to
Okay.
yawn while I'm speaking, because it will pick up on the...
Just sitting here chilled
It's
in
funny,
my...
we like that.
I've got my gym jams on and
Yes.
I'm really comfy. I've just had a shower
just remember it
and I'm
picks-
all clean and lovely and
Yeah, okay.
chilled. Okay, so do you worry about the fact that you don't get really huge viewing numbers or subscribers?
I think anyone would be lying if they sometimes don't think, oh no, that video's only got 900 views or something, or oh, look at that bastard who started after me, he's got more subscribers than me already. It does happen. But I think the lesson in life, I'm sure you would agree with this, Lorraine, is that if you judge yourself, I can look at you a bit, it's okay. If you judge yourself against other people, then you're always going to be bound to be unhappy if you overly focus on that. So I used to a little bit, but I really don't very much, because I always remember that just me, myself, what's it all about? Being happy in life, and I am reasonably happy in my life. I have many lovely things to be grateful for. Had to say that, really, didn't I? And overall, it doesn't matter if there are many people who came along after me who now have many more subscribers and viewers and probably earn a lot more money, because there's also a lot of people who started before me or at the same time or since and have only 20 subscribers and can't get any views, and they still keep trying. So I'm really lucky. And also, I always think, so, let's say, who do you think sold more records or made more money ever, Lorraine, right? Taylor Swift or Iron Maiden?
Taylor Swift?
Obviously, right. Does that mean Iron Maiden should feel really bad and sad that they failed?
They haven't failed.
No, because in their own world, because they're more of a small niche thing, because they make heavy metal which appeals to less people, that's only ever going to reach a certain group of people.
I
Whereas
spoke to my son about Taylor
Yes.
Swift versus Iron
Yes.
Maiden the other day, but I will not repeat what he said.
Exactly. So, I appeal to a smaller niche of people than the channels that have perhaps an attractive young lady fronting it up and talking about fragrances to get compliments, and that's fine. So in my world, I'm happy and I'm very grateful for what
That's
I have.
good. And the next question is, why did you actually call yourself Mr. Smelly?
Well, I have a kind of self-loathing that's there, so there was partly that subconsciously, and also I remember that Katie Puckrick, who was a very popular fragrance channel, and she used to present The Word back in the 90s, funnily enough. You'd know if you saw her. And her little thing at the end of every video was to say, my name's Katie Puckrick and I smell, meaning as in the verb, I smell things, but also it had a double entendre, and I thought, so I liked that. So when I wrote a couple of reviews on Base Notes or something, and I just called myself Mr. Smelly, and then I just stuck with it. And in some ways it's an encumbrance, because when you've got a brand that's supposed to be posh and fancy and then your name is Mr. Smelly, it doesn't necessarily go. But on the other hand, at least you remember it, Mr.
So you
Smelly.
don't regret it?
Yeah, if someone asks me what's your channel called and they've never heard of me, and you just say Mr. Smelly, at least it will stick in their head. I will just say, you can just YouTube Mr. Smelly and you'll find me, and they'll remember it.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay.
So you don't regret calling yourself that?
On balance, no.
Good.
Because I don't mind taking obviously the idea is that I smell nice.
You smell good,
But
yeah.
also if you call someone Mr. Smelly, it would generally be in an insulting way. And I don't, that's my kind of humour. I have that kind of self.
I know your
I
humour,
hate
Dan.
myself.
I know your humour, Dan.
So I like to say bad things about myself. There you go.
Okay, so what is your experience with interacting or meeting up with other YouTubers?
Not that much. I've met a few and interacted with a few. Unfortunately, it's quite a sort of self-absorbed world, and everyone's got their own agenda. So I have been known to say there are no friends in Fragcom. There are some people that I really like. I've met a few in the UK. I mean, Greggy Boy 76, who was much more active when I first started, but he runs Fragrance Samples UK. Love him, great friend. Don't see him as much as I should, because we're both men who don't like to bother to make a big effort to go many miles to meet up and have a drink, but he's a really, really nice guy. Love him. I've met Chris from the Fragmental channel a few times. I think he's a really, really nice guy. Very professional, and I haven't hung out with him massively socially, but I find him to be really good, really professional. But there are a lot of people that, everyone's got their own agenda, and so there are quite a few people that I probably wouldn't want to spend that much time with, if I'm honest. And a lot of people who do YouTube are assholes. People who do YouTube channels, there's a high percentage that they're weird or mentally ill or narcissistic or selfish or just interested in money or fake. So genuinely not that keen on them. I'm sure they feel the same about me.
I'm sure they do, Dan. Okay, so how do you deal with the online trolling and some of the negativity that you receive?
I love it. I enjoy the fact that we have that, and I know some people, it can really affect people in a bad way, and that's terrible. But I get a little bit of it, and I like to give it back. So I've always enjoyed the cut and thrust of argument and things, and because I studied politics when I was younger and stuff, so I've always liked that world of fighting, if you like, with people through words, not physically. So as you know, I love YouTube channels like George Galloway.
Yes.
Because he'll be very, he calls people a lickspittle and a buffoon and you fool. And I love all that argument. It's kind of, he says about the Prime Minister of the UK, he's so wooden that the birds attempt to nest in him. And I like that. So if someone trolls me, I enjoy it, and then I try and say something rude or clever. I like to try and say something clever back, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to ignore them in the comments. But I actually personally enjoy it. However, I would never bully someone, or if someone was fat and ugly in another YouTube channel, I wouldn't say you're fat and ugly. That's horrible. That's terrible.
That's never okay to body shame anybody.
If someone says something about me, or that I'm bald or whatever, then I'll say, I'll try and come up with something clever to say back to them. Like I'll say, here's a couple of pointers for you. Number one, don't argue with people who are cleverer than you. Number two, that's almost everyone, or something like that. They come back with something like that.
That's
It's fun. I enjoy it.
No, I do agree. You do actually do that.
Moving on.
Well done.
Yes.
Moving on. What do you see in the future for yourself and for the online fragrance
Is that the
world?
last question?
Yes, it is.
Who knows? It's going to get worse. It's going to get more self-absorbed. It's going to get more flooded with money. It's going to get worse and worse. But there will be different. It's going to evolve. I think the long form 16:9 video that you're watching now is going to become less important, and the TikTok type vertical reels and those kind of things, the Instagram, can become more influential, which again is dumbing down. It used to be that people liked written reviews, and then they started watching YouTube, and that was dumbing down. Now from a 6-minute or a 10-minute YouTube video, they'd rather watch a 30-second YouTube video or Instagram or TikTok. So it's going to get dumber and dumber, more and more about money, and who knows if there'll even be a YouTube world of fragrance in 5 or 10 years. I hope so, but it's going to get worse. That's my prediction, but there'll still be choice. So I think it'll be fun. Also, just on last one, I saw Debbie Rawling, one of the big female reviewers, and she was saying on a TikTok video, I'm in a really terrible place. I've moved back to Australia, because I think she was in Dubai. And she was really stressed out and saying it was all getting her down, and she doesn't like the TikTok space, or not the fragrance space online. And I sympathised with her, although it's like, well, she's really successful, and how much pity do I have for her compared to all the people who have a really tough life? It was a little bit, and she acknowledged that she would get stick because of that. But that's an example of even someone who, let's be frank, played the game very much and been very successful. It's probably even worse for them, because there's so much pressure on to keep getting all the views and doing all the right deals and the brand deals for them. It must be quite stressful and miserable. So if even someone like that, who's been a very mainstream influencer, is fed up of the way the fragrance space is now and is complaining about the disingenuous people in it, then how the rest of us will feel, the more cynical people who've always said it's a bit like that, it's getting worse and worse. And even the people who've arguably been part of what's happening in Fragcom are getting fed up with it. So that tells you something. So that's my thoughts. Let us know what you thought about that in the comments down below. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, whatever we're doing in life, let's project. And although sometimes life may stink,
we can always smell good.
Thank you for doing this, Lorraine.
You're welcome. Now can I have my foot massage?